Africa. And as a mother, and sometimes a grandmother in that country, we have a way of communicating, and this is through stories. And because of our authority as mothers and grandmothers, we have the permission to adapt some of these stories. Today, I'll be adapting one of the Basotho fairy tales, the jackal and the hyena, for the purpose that you will understand. This is a mathematics class, but we're not worried about the mathematics now. We're just focusing on the story. So they say a very, very long time ago, there was a jackal who felt very, very hungry and thought, I need to find some food. And he could see people passing by the window, going to the farm, going to work. And he thought, I'm too tired to go to work. I'm not going to work. Immediately he thought about his friend, Hyena. Hyena was a farmer. And thank you for being here, everyone. I can see some of you popping in. Hyena was a very good friend and a farmer. So Jackal decided to go to Hyena's hut. Coco, coco, coco. That means knock, knock, knock. He showed up at Hyena's door and said, could you please help me? I have a broken arm. And that early in the morning, it was breakfast time for Hyena. And Hyena had corn in his arm. So just eating his breakfast, right? As he approached Jackal to help Jackal, he grabbed the corn and took off. Hyena was surprised and thought, what kind of behavior is this? So Jackal went off. Next day, he came back. Knock, knock, knock. Go, 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 go means knock, knock. Hyena, hey, there you are again. And Jackal, you won't believe what happened. Hyena was surprised. What happened? You know, yesterday I took your corn really with the intention to enjoy the aroma, and I was just outside in your playground, you know, thinking about how good a cook you must be, and I was just about to come back to ask you for the recipe, and I ran into your corn thief who ate the corn, and here's the cob. He ate all the corn. Hyena? Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible news. And Jackal, not so terrible, because now you're going to help me. And Hyena was sitting there attentively. How can I help? And Jackal said, I would like you to help me track down the thief. Of course I can help. Jackal asked Hyena to step at the front and chase the thief. Of course he wanted to help, right? He ran full speed and Jackal came treading along. Somewhere along the way, Hyena turned back and Jackal was not there. Where did he go? Hyena turned back swiftly and ran back to his hut. When he got to the hut, some corn was missing. He looked at his stacks of corn and one whole portion was missing. Jackal had taken it and ran with it in the opposite direction. Hyena sat down and cried and cried and cried and cried. And the neighbors came. That is the end of the story. Now, as you might have observed, this story was not interested in the literary artifacts. I'm not concerned about the scenery. I'm not concerned about how the weather was or how people feel, but only the relationships. I would like you to tell me what you observed. What did you observe in this story? There are two individuals, Jackal and Hyena. Tell me what you observed. That's correct. Okay. So we have the jackal and the hyena. What? Yes. The first experience was a trickery. That is very good. That's a very good observation. I was not even asking about that yet. Okay, so let's record the experiences here. I'll just put EXP for the experience. This is the first experience. And you said that Jackal deceived Hyena. So we'll call that experience deception. So that is deception. And what happens in the next section here? We have trust. And why is this important? Why is this important? Why is this something important to note? Because this is the key feature of this story. We see Jackal using deception, exploiting Hyena's trust for his benefit. That was the first incident. What about the second incident? What happened in the second? The same thing happened. Not exactly the same, but something similar. Jackal comes back again, uses deception to obtain Hyena's help. All right. Okay. Let's write that one down again. So this is experience 2. This is deception. And it is met by Hyena's trust. Now, what do you observe about this type of a situation? And your observation is very key to answering my question. What do you think would happen on the third event? Were Jackal to return, what do you think would happen? The same thing, right? I'm watching your comments on my laptop, and I'm not going to say you by name because I'm trying to keep to be sensitive to your privacy. All right. Okay. So the same thing would happen. You're correct. There would still be deception. And it would be met with Hyena's trust. All right. Now, the big moment arises. What do you think would happen in a moment in the future? Not the 4th time, not the 5th time, but some moment in the future. What do you think would happen during that time? How do you think these behaviors would show up? The same thing, huh? And in mathematics, anyway, I don't want to get stuck in the mathematics language yet and symbols. That is called the nth time, or the nth incident, or the nth event. All right. Now, I have one quick question for you. What is the difference between the first and the second event? The first event is Jackal's deception the first time, and then the second time is deception. The third time he uses the same trick, and it's all of these different experiences, all of these different incidents are met by Hyena's trust. How do they differ? How does the first instance differ from the second one? It is one more event of trickery, yes. And the next one is one more event of trickery. Very good. Now, let's translate this to the world of mathematics. Let's say, for example, I asked you to tell me I gave you these numbers here, and I said, oh, can you tell me what the next number is? What would you say? Yes, you would say the next number. You would say the next number is 8. Very good. Yes, you said the next number is 8. And how would you know? How would you know that the next number is 8? But I don't want you to tell me in terms of the mathematics. I want you to go back to this story. I want you to relate this to the fairy tale I just told you. How would you know what the next story is? Yes, it's okay to come back later. Thank you for being here. There will be a video. You know what the next number is because there is a pattern. Yeah, there is a pattern. In March, precisely the same way, there was a pattern when the jackal went to hyena the first time, tricked hyena. Hyena trusted him. He came back, tricked hyena again, came back and did the same thing. We saw a pattern. And it is that pattern that allows us to figure out what the next step is. That's how we figured out the next number would be 8. You saw the pattern. Very good. All right. So in mathematics, we call this repeating pattern a sequence. And we use squiggly fancy brackets to show that we are not just talking about random numbers. We have this kind of a bracket to show that we are dealing with a sequence, right? Now, here's a question for you. If this behavior continued, jackal coming back to hyena, tricking hyena, and coming back with a different story each time. If hyena came back, I don't know, however many times, do you think this would ever stop? Would it stop? And if you think it would stop, where would it stop? Where would it stop? It does not stop. The trickery keeps going on. It keeps happening over and over and over, right? Yes, it does. And how do we know this? How do you know that the trickery is ongoing? You saw the pattern. Remember, we said in mathematics, we use this letter N. This is for the future visits by the jackal, for the future events. Sometime in the future, in this sequence, do you think this will stop? Do you think this will have an end? This example that I gave you here. Tell me if you think it will stop or if it will keep going on, if it will keep happening. You don't have to answer now. And how are you going to figure out your answer? If you get stuck, you can go back to this story. But now it is your turn. I would like you to write down all the questions that you have for me. And I'll go back to my laptop and see if there are any questions that I missed. I can't see all of them here on Facebook. Now, in addition to writing questions, I would like you to tell me a story that you think is similar to the one I just told you. And explain why they are similar. And tell me where it ends, or if it doesn't end, tell me why it does not end. Okay, so let's go back to the fairy tale story. If I had skipped the second incident, I was not here when the story was told. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry, I came in late. How could I figure out what that story was? How do you think I could figure out what that story was? I came in and I was late. The storyteller had already talked about the third incident, fourth incident, the fifth. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm late. And I said, oh, I missed the African story. What could have the theme be over there? What would you tell me? And how would you know what I missed? Yes, you would have studied the pattern. You say you haven't missed anything. Just look at the pattern. This guy is a trickster. There's a trick and trust. Trick and trust. So that was in the second event that you were worried that you might have missed. Now, let's look at these numbers here. This is in our regular mathematics book. By the way, I got this question from, I got this question from my calculus book, and it is 12.1, and that's question 6. Do you see the title and everything? Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure that you can follow along if you have the same copy of the book. It's Calculus 4th edition by James Stewart. If I were to cover this here and asked you what number I skipped, what would you say the number was? And how would you know what the number is? You look at the pattern and you work backwards. Yes. Very good. Any questions for me so far? All right, I have a question for you. Okay, let's just do that one really quickly. What would you say is the next term? Sorry, I changed my mind. What would you say is the next term? Some of you said 10 or 12. At any rate, how did you figure out?